Alright, so today I want to install a oil catch can on my 4runner. I got this one from this website. It's called Evil Energy. I got it through Amazon. It's actually a pretty good price. I paid around less than $60 for it. It comes with everything you need to install it. It comes with this bracket. But what I'm going to do is I do need to bend this bracket, since I'm going to connect this to the I want to bolt it onto the radiator core, so I have to drill a hole here. So let me just go ahead and show you guys what I'm referring to. So I already went ahead and removed the engine cover. You can see it's right there, but essentially I want to bolt this on here to this bolt here on the radiator core. So I want to add a 90-degree bend, so this will sit, you know, roughly around this location, and then I'll run the hoses to the PCV valve that sits right here. You can kind of see, and then we'll connect it back to the intake. So first thing I'm going to do is just try to mark this, try to fold it into a 90-degree as best as I can. And I don't have a vise to do this, so I'm just going to try to use my table and a clamp. So first things, I'm just going to align these holes here, hold it down, get my marker, and just kind of mark, hopefully kind of a straight line there as much as I can, where I need to make that bend. And yeah, I'm just gonna clamp this down onto my table here, and I'm just gonna hammer it. So hopefully this works. Obviously, you know, if I had a vise or a bench vise, this would be a lot easier to do, but since I don't have one, just kind of working with what I have and probably what the average person at home has. So I'm just going to hold this down and start hammering. You can see here. So it's actually hitting my table, which is why I can't bend it anymore. So let me try to see if I can move it over here to the side. Just clamp this down here. Okay. So I think that's pretty good. Let me remove it. Clamp. This is kind of what it looks like. I probably have to straighten it out. You can see it got a little crooked, so try to figure out how to straighten that out. Maybe tap it on the table or on the floor actually. Just probably a little bit more. Okay. Alright, so my video cut off, but pretty much I just try to straighten this out as much as I can. Next, I'm just going to put some bolts here, put the 2 bolts so I can mark where I need to drill out this hole. So I'll go ahead and do that, and Yeah, just you're gonna want to like slide in the nut in kind of where it's gonna go, and just kind of hold it with your finger so it can stop spinning. And we're gonna tighten all this stuff down once we're done mocking, but right now I just want to mock down where I need to make the hole. So just gonna slide this one in. I don't know if you guys can see that in the camera, but I aligned the nut with the hole, and I'm just gonna hold it with my hand and start tightening. Okay, so here's what it kind of looks like. Here's with the mount. And now what I'm gonna do, grab my marker. I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna place it. So nuts here. So I'm just gonna try to mark there where it is. Right, and then I'll center that out. So it's somewhere here. I'll bring that over and get my little angle here. I'm going to align it to my mark so I can transfer it to the other side. It's roughly that location. And then, you know, this is 1 inch, so I'll just mark the halfway. So there's the center. And now I'm going to get my drill so we can drill that hole out. And I'm going to use a step bit also just to make sure I get it to the right size. So I'm going to put a quick pause on this video, and then I'll start back up once I have that hole drilled in, and show you guys how to mount this on the truck. Okay, so I actually figure I'll just show you guys what I like to do to drill it. I like to start off with a small drill bit. I just got these, you know, Bauer ones from Harbor Freight, and then I'm going to use this step bit that I also got from Harbor Freight just to make that hole a little bit bigger. You know, we want to fit the 10mm in there, so I don't think we need to do too much. So I'll use the step bit until I can fit that bolt in there. So I'm just going to try to hold this with my hand and start drilling this hole out. And this is soft aluminum, so it should drill that hole out very easy. So once I got that hole started and made, I'll move on to my step bit and then make the hole bigger. Okay, so you can see I'll go one more in there, so be careful if it gets stuck. Just go back and go slow with it so you don't hurt yourself. Okay, but there's the hole. It's made out, so I'm gonna go see if this fits with that screw. So we're gonna go ahead and take this out. So it fits on there pretty good. And yeah, so then we'll just put this back in here and tighten that up, and it should be a pretty good strong hold. So now that that's ready, let's go ahead and mount this in. Mount this up. I'm gonna take these plastics off now, so we don't need it. So we'll put this on here. Again, slide the nut through this wedge here. Just try to align it with the holes. Put in your screw and just use your hands to hold that nut in place while you can finger tighten this up. So there's one. Do the same thing for the other one. So just get these finger tight for now. And then we can go ahead and tighten that up. So I don't know, I think that's like a 7mm wrench that we need to use. So let's see, it's pretty small, maybe it's an 8. And I'm gonna get my Allen keys here so we can tighten this in place. So I don't know, I'll try number 4, see if that works. Yep. And yeah, so number 4, number 8 is what we'll need to tighten these out. Okay, once we got that tightened up, you can see it looks a little ugly, but you know, nobody's gonna be looking under my hood except for me. With a vise, it would probably come out a lot smoother, nicer, but again, I don't have one, so just working with what I have here. Okay, so yep, I'm just putting in the original bolt here. I'm just hand tightening it right now, and then I'll finish tightening it down with my wrench right here. So, you know, you don't want to tighten too much and strip these, but okay, so you can see right there, it's on there pretty good. Little wiggle, but shouldn't damage anything. It's not touching anything here. Once we put the hoses, it's gonna hold it better in place. So okay, so we got that there. All right, now we can come back over here, see what fittings we're gonna use. So I'm just going straight out. And here's the hose that it comes with. It's about 5 feet of hose they supply. And again, this kit was only 60 bucks, if I believe, probably less. So it's a pretty good deal. You know, oil catch cans all do the same thing, so there's no need to be spending $200 on a catch can when you can just do this. It's all gonna do the same thing. And what's cool about these lines is that they're actually, it has a braided protective on it. So cut these over, looks nice, with stainless steel. So put this back on. That's how this is gonna work. We're gonna put these onto the oil catch can, and then we have 2 straight fittings that are gonna connect to the hoses like this, and then the other side of the hose is just gonna connect to the PCV valve and then back to the intake, the outlet. So I'm gonna go ahead and mock these up, and yeah, I'm gonna need to connect these, so I'll leave these out for now. I got the in here, hand tighten that. and tighten for now. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put one of these onto my hose now. So I'm going to want to just try to slide this in here. And what I'm going to do is burn the edges. Probably got that to go in a little bit easier. Got a lighter here. So just burn that up so I can slide this fitting in here. Okay, so I got this fitting in, but pretty much what I had to do, it's really hard to get this on here. So what I did was I used some electrical tape and I wrapped it around really tight, just enough so that we cover all the braided stainless steel and kind of hold it in place. And then what I did was I used some WD-40 on the electrical tape to kind of help this slide in, and you can see that it's all the way in because there's threads on this fitting here and there's like a stop. So once that hose is there, you'll see that the hose is already all the way inside. And then what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of WD-40 here, so it makes it a little bit easier for it to slide in the hose. And then we can just go ahead and tighten these down with some little wrench, or I'm just going to use this to hold it. And yeah, I guess I'll just use this one as well. And so let me see if I have some wrenches here that will fit, and I'll just use that instead. So it's not big enough. Look at 3/4. Yeah, so we're looking at a 3/4. So 3/4, and then I think 17 is the equivalent, or 18. Hopefully this one, yep. Okay, so just gonna hold that down and yeah, start tightening this in here. Again, I'm using a 3/4 and a 19 to tighten this down. So that's it, it's all the way in. So one hose there, you can kind of see the electrical tape here that we can remove or leave it on, doesn't really matter. So I'll show you guys what I did once we start working on the other side, but I'm gonna mark off where I need to cut this. So here, this is already labeled for us, so it says in. So I'm just gonna try to run it where it's gonna go, all the way to the PCV valve, and then I'm gonna mark where I need to cut it and go ahead and cut that. And I'll show you guys what I meant with the electrical tape. So I'm just screwing, hand tightening it now for now. Okay, so I have my tape here and my marker that I'm going to use to mark it off. So the PCV valve is right here, which has a little bend, so I'm going to leave a little extra room, right, so I can make that bend with the line and then put in this new line. So pretty much here where my finger is where I'm going to cut. So I'm just going to grab the tape here, take that off, and just going to cut around right here. Just double check, and yeah, that should be more than enough to take off the hose from the PCV, slide that in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this, remove this one again so I can cut it. I'll show you guys what I'm using to cut this. So I am using my Milwaukee M12 cutoff tool. It's pretty small, and I'm just gonna do this over the trash can. So there's my line, and I'm just gonna try to go as straight as possible. So it cuts it pretty easy, and it doesn't mess up the little stainless steel braided. So now that we got that off, and for this end, what I'm gonna do is actually I'm just gonna put some electrical tape here, because we actually have to reuse some of the original clamps from our hose. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this off as soon as I find where the joint is. So here it is. I'll take this off, and I'm gonna put some electrical tape that's gonna stay on there. So, and I'm just trying to wrap this around, and I'm gonna try to cover as much as I can without the tape interfering with the inside diameter of the hose. So once I do that, you can see here, now I can touch it without cutting myself. Just do some more wraps here, nice and tight. Cut that off. You could use some shrink wrap. If I had some, I would probably use that. I don't have any shrink wrap that size. So here's our first hose. That's gonna go there. It's measured out. So I'll just run this back through here, and then I'll connect the inlet line. And then let me get some long pliers here so I can remove the original clamps. There's one. Maybe I could just pull this out with my hand since they're not that tight. So we'll reuse these here. And hopefully I have the right hose size. Yes, I do. So you can see there, one's pretty much in. I am going to put these on. I just test fitting it still. There's one, the inlet, and I'm going to do the outlet now. So let me show you guys what I meant about. Okay, so I'm going to put the, see how this is all messed up here, which is going to make it very difficult to insert this fitting on there. So I'm going to use this end. Okay, grab the electrical tape. Want to put it as tight as possible. Again, covering some of that border there. And I don't want the electrical tape to be thick here, so I'm bringing it back down smooth as possible. This way the fitting can slide back in. So I'll cut it there and then have this ready here. Okay, so if you can see in there, there's a lip, right, and that's where the hose is going to hit. So it pretty much hits about right there. Right, so putting that in there was very hard. So this little trick kind of works, makes life a little bit easier, at least in sliding in the hose. So, and I'm just gonna spin it until it's all the way in. Okay. Need a little bit more. Almost there. So I think I put a little bit too much electrical tape because it's keeping it from going in. So I'm gonna cut this again, where around here, and then try to do it again because is really hard to do, actually. Okay, so I was able to get this one in. I did have to try a couple of times before I finally got it, but it's in now. It's not all the way in, but it's good enough. There's not going to be any pressure. It's just vacuum going into these lines. So I should be okay with that. And I'm just going to tighten this up. But yeah, these are extremely hard to put on. I don't know if it's worth it. Like, the braided stainless does look nice. I don't know if it's worth it for, you know, these vacuum lines. So just keep that in mind. Probably this would have been a lot easier with just regular vacuum hoses. So that's in there, and yeah, I'm just gonna leave the tape on there, and I'm gonna mock this up so I can cut it and put this one for as a return line to the intake. So we're gonna mock this up here. Again, this kit was $60. It comes with 5 feet of hose. It comes with all the fittings that we need. I wish it came with some shrink wrap, so that we would be able to shrink wrap the ends that we don't have fittings for. But for $60, can't really go wrong with that. So I'm just gonna mark this side up with my finger. Goes right about there, and hold that in place. Gonna cut it off. So probably around right there should be enough. The return line, you can kind of see it here where it goes. It goes in here. So this is gonna go, I'm gonna run it behind this line and straight up there, so it should sit right about there. So I'm leaving more than enough hose for it. So let's go ahead and disconnect it now. I'm gonna cut it with my cutoff wheel, put the tape, and put those clamps, and the install should be done. I'm gonna cut it before, right underneath the line, since I know I left more hose. Save this for I don't know what, a little extra piece. Come over here with the tape. That off. Okay, so here's our return line. It's all done. I'm gonna go ahead and put these clamps on here so I can reuse them. I'm also gonna try to put a little bit of WD-40 on there just get it a little bit easier to slide in. Okay, so about this line here, just gonna try to squeeze that in there. So it is pretty hard to get in, and that's where the WD-40 comes into play. I do think that this hose might have been a smaller diameter, but it is in there, and I'll put this clamp in there as extra support. There we go. Okay, and I'm just gonna take this one off. Actually, that's on there pretty good. I'll just put it on. And yeah, I guess I don't even need it. It's a different size. So let's see if I could actually just bend these in. Yep, there you go. That's what I'll do. Bend that in, and hopefully it holds. Just a little bit. Slide that down. Okay, so got the clamps on there. Try to get this one in a little bit more. Okay, should be good enough. Okay, and just tighten these up. And this installation should be complete. Okay, so that's my install here. This line got a little bent here, so I'm probably just gonna take it off, straighten it out, put it back on, and that's it.